Hi everyone, welcome to another session of SCJ Marketing Think Tank. I'm joined here today with Rocco Baldessare. Hey
Hi
Rocco.
everyone.
Today he's going to be talking about boosting your revenue 100% with cross-channel advertising, so advertising on different platforms instead of just one. So I'm going to let Rocco introduce himself. I don't know if I introduced myself. My name is Kelsey Jones. I'm the executive editor at Search Engine Journal. So I'll let Rocco just say a little bit about himself, and then I'm going to do some housekeeping, and then we'll get started.
Hello everyone, my name is Rocco, and today, as Kelsey just said, we're going to talk about cross-channel advertising. This is the kind of advertising that you really need if you want to boost your revenue and your business, no matter your size. Now, today we are going to go home with 3 takeaways. The first one is that branding actually equals sales. On the contrary of what you might have learned in the past, branding doesn't mean necessarily generating impressions and clicks without any sort of return. We will see today how you can actually brand your company and follow a strategy to actually generate sales. We are also going to see how different channels have different ways to convert, and therefore each channel needs a different strategy, and they can work together to generate branding and sales. And finally, we will talk about risk diversification to see how important it is and to understand how you can diversify your risk using multiple advertising platforms to get sales and generate a long-lasting result. Again, these are all my social channels, so for any questions or any follow-up, feel free to contact me at any point in time, and I will get back to you within 24 hours. I will now let Kelsey start with our first poll question. So I'm looking forward to talking to you regarding cross-channel advertising soon.
Awesome. On my screen I can still see the title slide. Is it the social slide on your end? I just want to make sure everyone can see. There we go. Okay, now I see your info. Okay, great. So right before the poll question, I just have a little list of reminders. So we'll be live tweeting throughout the webinar using the hashtag SCJ Think Tank. So be sure to follow us along there. We love live tweeting with you guys. This webinar will be recorded. So that will be made available to you guys through email a couple days after this presentation, as well as the slides on SlideShare. So be on the lookout for your email, and then we also publish a post about it on Search Engine Journal as well. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please ask them in the question box on GoToWebinar, and Danielle will be sending those to me to ask Rocco. So if you have a question, we'll be able to answer that at the end. So all that being said, I'm going to launch our first poll question on my other screen here, and then if you guys could just answer this, it'll give Rocco a good idea of where you guys are coming from. So the question is, how many platforms do you use to advertise your business? Just Google, Facebook and Google, Facebook, Google, and Amazon, or others? So it looks like a majority so far is in one question or one answer. I'll be interested to see how it ends up. We have 51% of you guys voting. If we could get that up to 80, that's really what we like to hear from. I'll just leave it open for a couple more seconds here. All right, I'm going to close the poll. And it looks like an overwhelming majority do Facebook and Google. And then others was another popular option, which I'd be interested to hear from you guys in the question box or in the chat or on Twitter what other platforms you use. Just let us know. And so I'm going to hide this so it'll go back to your slide and we can get started.
Oh, that's exciting. These were quite good answers, and I think that based on what you guys answered, you're going to love the content of this presentation. So in order to get started with describing how you can apply cross-channel but focusing on sales, I'm going to show you a roadmap that starts from offline marketing, which is the farther away from a sale, and goes all the way to search marketing. Search marketing is, of course, what gets you closer to a sale because people have an intent and they're looking up something to solve a problem or to satisfy a need. Now, the moment you're working on the this roadmap, you can actually see how the farther away we go from the shopping cart, the more we get into display advertising. So the next step is going to be remarketing. Then there is Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and offline marketing. Many of you know that anytime you go on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, it's very difficult to actually get a sale simply because people are not looking for a product. But today we will see how going in a step-by-step kind of process, you can actually get there easily. And Facebook, Twitter, same YouTube, and the offline marketing can be a huge help for your business, and independently from the size of it. Now, moving on to the first step, we are going to remind you of a couple of concepts that are very solid in online marketing, but that are helpful to remind when it comes to cross-channel advertising. So first of all, statistics say that people need to see a brand eight to eight times before actually developing confidence into purchasing from this brand. So you need brand exposure to be able to generate sales and in a long-term kind of manner. On top of that, multiple channels help you to be recognized faster. So you become a top of brand kind of choice for your consumers. And on top of that, we also need to keep in mind that anytime you go from Google to Facebook to Twitter and see the same brand, you kind of believe that this brand is doing a great job and being everywhere. You think they're big, they're huge, and this helps you get a much better return in terms of performance. Now, all of that is very easy to set up. It requires minimum coding, and it can be done on a ton of platforms. Here you can just see some of them, such as Bing, Facebook, and Twitter, but you can actually do it offline, and we will see how that can be done. So the step one in your cross-channel advertising, let's say, trip is going to be to start with paid search. Paid search is the one that converts the most because people are looking for a product or service and they are ready to buy. Now, whenever you do paid search, of course, I like to say that for those of you who have an advanced knowledge of online advertising, also Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Google Display can be put in step one if you're using them through remarketing or lookalike, because this helps you move some platforms further down the scheme that you have seen earlier. So as you can see here, Google and Bing are definitely the way to start for you. And once you start with them, the next step is going to be to start a remarketing campaign. A remarketing campaign works in a very straightforward manner. You're going to have people go to your website through Google AdWords or Bing. People will buy or not buy from you. If they don't buy from you, they're going to be advertised on through Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google AdWords itself, and other advertising platforms, for example, AdRoll. Now, when that happens, these platforms, which are usually far away from a sale because they are not targeting people who are interested in buying from you, these people actually become relevant because you're not targeting to new users, but you're targeting users who have already visited your website and your products. And therefore, they can go back to your site, buy, or again, enter the remarketing funnel once more. So remarketing is very strong because it's the second step that we will use when it comes to expanding your horizons and actually advertising on an additional platform. The step number 3 is going to be Facebook. Facebook is extremely powerful and allows you to target people on many different levels. But Facebook itself has 5 different layers that you can use to advertise to. So the first thing that we need to keep in mind that Facebook has something called location targeting. You can simply target people living in a city or in a given zip code, and you can show your ad to them. As you can imagine, this is very broad, so it's very unlikely to convert to people based purely on location. However, this doesn't apply when your service is a mass kind of product. So for example, if you're trying to promote for example, discounts for your mobile rates for your cell phone, in this case, location targeting might actually work nicely. However, you can go a little bit deeper into Facebook and start adding a demographic element to it. So you can target people who are parents, who have kids in a given age range. You can target people based simply on their age range, or you can target people based on their marital status. So all of that allows you to become much more targeted and gets you closer to the sale when you advertise to people on Facebook for the first time. On top of that, you can combine location and demographics with interests. This is the third level of targeting that you want to add because it allows you to target page likes, for example. It allows you to target what people seems to like based on their activity on Facebook. On top of that, there is one more layer which gets us very close to the sale, which is behavior. Facebook is going to analyze the behavior of people on their social media platform and on the web, trying to understand what these people are like. What do they like to buy? What kind of services they prefer to subscribe for? What movies they watch? What kind of activities they like to do based on their credit card spending? What political behavior they might have based on their online behavior. So you can literally learn a lot about them, learn about their spending behavior, the car they drive. You can learn a lot about the same income, house size, and much more. So behavior targeting helps you define who you're advertising to, and that helps you match your ideal customer with Facebook users. So the concept is if you advertise to people that are close, that are similar to your ideal customer, you are much more likely to sell. And finally, Facebook allows us to have lookalike targeting. Lookalike targeting is extremely powerful, and it allows us to basically target to people who are similar to people that already bought from us. This means that anytime, for example, you upload a customer list on Facebook, you can tell Facebook to find the people who are similar to the ones that are buying from us, and they create a list of target users which we can show our ads to. This is extremely powerful. So we started by saying that Google search is the easiest way to sell, and then we went into remarketing, saying that remarketing helps you target people who visited your website and didn't buy yet. Then we went to step number 3, which is a bit farther away from a sale, but still can get you additional sales in your funnel. But we need to remember that all the people that from step 3 that end up not buying from you will enter the remarketing funnel, which is going to be very close to a sale because we have seen being in step number 2. The fourth step is Instagram ads. Instagram ads is extremely powerful. Not only it uses all the advantages that we have seen from Facebook, because of course it is run through the Facebook platform, but on top of that it comes with a cost advantage. If done right, Instagram ads cost much less than any sort of Facebook, Google, and Bing ads. And they're actually the lowest price placement on Facebook that still generates quality for you. Now, if we look at this example taken from a real case scenario, this company is advertising on multiple placements on Facebook. They're advertising on desktop computer, they're advertising on Instagram, they're advertising on some with videos, they're advertising on mobile devices, right column ads, and audience network, which is third-party mobile apps and mobile websites that accept ads from Google. Now, if we look at the results that we are generating through this campaign, you can totally see that Instagram is generating the lowest cost per click at $1.06. Audience network, it's not very high quality traffic, and even though it comes at a cheap price of 15 cents, it doesn't nearly generate the same quality as Instagram. If we look at desktop computers, they cost nearly double Instagram. They cost $2.05 for the same target audience. While mobile devices on newsfeed on Facebook, they cost $1.28. So they're still slightly more expensive than Instagram. So this is a clear message that if you're trying to target people based on any of the target methods we have seen on Facebook, including remarketing, we will be able to do that at a much lower cost using Instagram. A lower CPC gives you the opportunity to accept a lower conversion rate in order to achieve your conversion goal. So it's something that you really need to consider, and you need to customize your ads and landing page to fit Instagram in order to take advantage of this trend. And I don't know for how long Instagram ads will cost much less than mobile newsfeed desktop computers click on Facebook, but I would strongly recommend to do that. And as a comparison with videos, videos are actually costing a lot per click, because anytime you show up a video, you pay per view and you don't pay for the click to the website. and the click to the website might end up costing you $18. So yes, you get a very low cost per engagement, but the click to the website is not there. So Instagram is placed a little bit farther down the likelihood to convert graph, simply because people that are on Instagram are not really inclined to buy right away, but they're there to look at picture, get to know more about their friends and people they would like to learn more about. So they're not really there to shop, but the cost per click level makes it very interesting and makes it among the top platforms that you should use to sell online. Instagram ads, Facebook ads, and remarketing itself are very great for branding, but that doesn't mean that they don't generate sales. And in the examples that you're seeing in this slide, the conversion rate of Instagram was 2%, the conversion rate on Facebook on mobile was 4%, and the conversion rate on desktop was 5%. So clearly, these platforms have generated a huge amount of conversion for the client, and they generated a big branding effect because people were liking, were engaging, were commenting, were sharing, so they got two birds with one stone. And you can do the same by taking things one step at a time, generating budget to invest in other advertising platforms, and then seeing the return come in. YouTube is positioned number 5. The position number 5 for Google is due to the fact that people usually tend to watch videos, but they don't go right away on the website to buy from you. So on YouTube you will see high cost per clicks, but not many conversions as well. However, Google has 7 million hours of ads watched since January 1st, 2015. And people watch more time in the first 6 weeks of 2015 than in all 2014. So people are on YouTube, and your brand needs to be there. Because if they see your brand here, they see your brand on Facebook, they see your brand on Instagram, they see your brand on the display through remarketing, and they see your brand on search, they will place your brand as a top choice in their mind. So clearly people will start trust your brand more and buy also maybe organically from you. So it's very important to do YouTube ads and not forget that, because even though many people believe YouTube ads are simply for branding, the results of these branding efforts will be very well rewarding on the long term. And step number 6 is Twitter ads. Twitter ads are considered usually very similar to Facebook in terms of quality, but Facebook has moved far away from Twitter in terms of targeting. Facebook is much more targeted and much more effective. However, Twitter is still a good tool to use for advertising, because Twitter is something that everybody in the business world uses, and many private users are also on Twitter checking their feed daily. Now, Twitter, it's not as effective because the cost per click is usually higher compared to Facebook and Instagram ads. And also compared to remarketing is still very high. So Twitter is something that you should do later on once you build some budget to invest into some more branding. But Twitter is definitely something that will help you be recognized even more out there in the wild internet, and it will help you develop a strong brand. And again, when people start seeing you on Facebook, Instagram, search, remarketing, and all the other channels we described today, they will also start to click and buy from Twitter. And later on in this presentation, I will actually show you a real case where sales have hugely increased right after following the 7 steps within a month time from each other. And Kelsey, I guess it's your turn again.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Rocco. So we're going to launch the second poll question. Let me put it up on the screen. So the question is, what has been your biggest challenge? Select one of the following. So your biggest challenge is implementing campaign types and ad formats you hear about, running Facebook ads profitably, significantly scaling up campaign results, or I don't have enough guidance to make effective decisions. So we'd love to hear from you guys on what your biggest challenge is when it comes to cross-channel advertising and running ads on several different platforms. So we have a lot of good answers coming in. I'm kind of surprised by these results, so Rocco, you'll have to tell me what you think once we're done.
Of course, I will It'll be my pleasure.
So you have 60% voted. We'd love to have everyone vote. I'll just keep it open for a little bit more. Great. So it looks like, so when everyone was voting, Rocco, it was almost split equally 4 ways, but it looks like now scaling up campaign results is the biggest challenge after having enough guidance, which makes sense for why we have you in the webinar today. So hopefully Rocco's advice is helping provide more guidance. Do you think these results are surprising, Rocco?
So I think the results kind of match the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic, because what I've seen happening in many businesses is that you get to a point where you're getting enough conversions to be happy with where you're at, but you're at a point where anytime you try to do something else, the CPA goes up and you really don't know where to move, how to move forward with your campaigns. So that's why that's what really makes the difference between a business that is good at what they do and a business that understood how to brand themselves to be able to skyrocket results. And for example, when I mentioned the Facebook step, which was step number 3, there was the lookalike option, which could be something that could scale up your business. But overall, cross-channel advertising is literally the way to go when you want to significantly scale up your campaigns. Honestly, I thought that it was interesting that the second one in line was I don't have enough guidance to make that happen. And this makes sense because if you don't know another business exactly like yours that took the same steps as you did and got stuck at the same point, you really don't know how to move forward. So I will be happy later on, once we're done with the presentation, to actually answer some case-specific questions if somebody has any, and I'm sure that hopefully we can help them a little bit further.
Yeah, that's a good reminder to everyone to keep putting your questions in the question box, and we'll get to that after the presentation. So with that, I will let you continue.
That sounds good. And the last step is, of course, offline marketing. Many people believe offline marketing is something that doesn't generate sales and doesn't help businesses and really cannot be used by small entities. But that's not true. Even though I'm using the example of an airline, offline marketing can really help you boost sales in no time. So let's imagine that you have a 1-year worth of data in your AdWords campaign and you have conversion tracking in place. So once you have all of this data, you can actually go into AdWords and download the list of zip codes sorted by conversions. For a client of ours, we actually did it for a telecommunication offer, telecommunication industry. We figured out that 80% of their sales were coming from 5 zip codes in the United States. So what we did was we started doing offline marketing for people that were basically living in those zip codes. So we started putting billboards out there. And actually sales increased in those areas. Then we started doing the same based on the other zip codes that had conversions but not top 5 in terms of zip codes. So we started expanding based on the database that we had, and we adjusted the budget that we were focusing for each geographic area based, of course, on the success that we had online. So even though we could have probably invest more in some zip codes, we prefer to use online as a metric to suggest what the likelihood of converting offline would have been, and we did that for probably 100, 150 zip codes, and results were starting to improve radically because literally people that maybe don't buy online, they started seeing our ads offline after seeing it on Facebook, after seeing it on Google and remarketing itself. So it was very effective for us, and it was the small trick which allowed us to focus the offline marketing budget on the right people. And on top of that, you can do the same with SMS marketing, because if you have a list of phone numbers, you can actually start to send text messages to people. So you start to expand from your online base to people that might be willing to receive a phone call or an SMS from you. Now, of course, the challenge here is that it's very difficult to track offline conversions. But on the other hand side, if you see an increased volume in sales right after starting to invest in offline marketing, you can kind of assume that part of these sales must be generated through your offline activity. And I strongly recommend combining the different advertising platforms with offline marketing, because it can be surprising how much info you might have sitting in your account and you might not be using it. And with that, I wanted to jump into two examples, two very easy examples that are both in the American market. And this is a company that in January 2014 was converting at approximately 2,500 conversions a month. And then they started to do some cross-channel advertising, following the steps that we have seen, exactly the same pattern. So they had a click increase of 87.66% from 2014 to 2015. The CTR increased by 337%. The leads increased by 157%, and they only paid a premium price of 16.51% in terms of cost per acquisition. So their CPA increased by 16.51%, which is a very small price to pay to increase your business 157.37%. Now, a different example could have been done also following an account that wasn't as new as the one we've seen there, which basically started doing all the steps in January 2014. In case you do some of them already, you can expect still double-digit growth for your business. Now, at the beginning of the presentation, I promised you 3 takeaways, and this is what we try to deliver today with the presentation. First of all, branding can mean sales. Branding equals sales. In order to do that, of course, you need to follow a clear pattern and have a strategy. But if you start from the platform that sells the most and go backward, so you become more branding as you grow, you're going to grow your sales accordingly. So search is to be used first, then remarketing, then Facebook, then you're going to have Instagram, Twitter, you're going to have YouTube, and you're going to end up with offline marketing. All of those, the one focused on the end of the funnel, they're going to be the one more branding and less sales. But if you have a good, strong sales approach on the first parts of the steps, you're going to generate a lot of sales with Facebook, via YouTube, Twitter, and the other platforms. On top of that, different channels are not positioned in the same place compared in regards to sales. Some platforms help you sell faster, some sell slower. But based on that, you need to adapt your advertising strategy accordingly. And finally, you need to be able to diversify your risk using using multiple advertising methods. So you don't need to focus just on Google or just on Facebook or just on Instagram. Because if you do that, you might risk to get shut down, because if something happens with your ads, they get disapproved or God knows what, you are going to have an issue with your business. You're going to stop having cash flow coming in, and you're going to there. So it's very important to diversify your risk. So thank you very much for your time today. These are my social channels. So if you want to get in touch with me, here is how you can do it. And I would really like to answer some of your questions now.
Okay, thanks, Rocco. So before we get to everyone's questions, I do want to follow up. I had told everyone to put in the chat after the first poll question, what were some other networks that they advertise on? And 2 people mentioned LinkedIn. Is that something that's worthwhile to use? I mean, have you had any good success with LinkedIn advertising?
Sure. So first of all, LinkedIn finally launched conversion tracking. They never had conversion tracking in place until a few days ago. They finally launched it. So that's a huge change, because this helps you understand the impact of Twitter on your business right at the ad level. So they can actually optimize things much better now. On top of that, Twitter can help you if you're selling specific products. For example, business attire or B2B services. Of course, if you're selling something aiming the mass market, or if you're trying to target something that is cost-effective, LinkedIn is not the right choice. But because it comes with a very high CPC, you might be talking about $2 to $5 per click. But other than that, if you're selling the specific type of products that aims the B2B market, LinkedIn is definitely positioned like step 3 probably, like at the same level of Facebook.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I thought I'd ask you. before we get to the audience questions, I want to give a shout out to our next webinar. It's going to be September 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern, and it is with Microsoft's Kevin Henriksen and moderator Lauren Baker. They'll be discussing Steal from the Startups entrepreneur-style growth tactics for big brands. So Danielle's going to put the link to sign up for that in the chat if you guys are interested. So that being said, let's move on to questions. Feel free, you guys, to ask more questions in the question box as we're talking. Okay, so Mark is asking, with a limited budget to spend on social media, where do we get the most conversion per spend? So, what's the most effective networks?
So the answer is very easy. It's Facebook. Facebook is like extremely powerful. To give you an idea of the scale that you can reach with Facebook is you can actually have a budget of $20, $30 a day, and if you create the right message, the right image, and target the right users, you can start converting at $4 or $5 a sale. So it has a huge potential. So with a limited budget, that's definitely the best social channel right now.
Okay, cool. I hope that answers your question, Mark. David wants to know, what is the best way to go about tracking offline marketing? Meaning, what types of metrics should we be thinking about when analyzing success or failure?
Sure. So the first thing that I didn't mention in the presentation is that many businesses are starting to create dedicated URLs for offline marketing. So for example, if they have an offer, they have either a dedicated website which is meant only to be found by people that use a billboard advertising, or they have a slash whatever after that, that is a URL created just for the offer for the offline marketing. So that's an easy way to track, but of course it doesn't track everything. So usually what I recommend is if it is the first time that you're going offline, try to keep the marketing budget in the other channels quite steady. Don't modify it too much. So the moment you bump your offline budgets, you can see whether you have a return in your overall bottom line. So it's kind of a sense and feel exercise, but it can be also improved with the use of some tricks such as custom URLs.
Okay. I know you and I have talked about, you had suggested to me when running a Facebook campaign to have a custom landing page with an intro video explaining, a service or offer. Should you have that for, all kinds of Facebook campaigns or social campaigns as a whole, or does it, is video only good to use for certain types of campaigns or industries?
So I think videos are useful when you really have an issue to explaining what you're doing in the first 10 seconds of navigating a website with written text. Because the main thing is that you need people to understand right away what you're offering, otherwise they will bounce off. So if text is not enough, if they click to watch the video within the first 10 seconds, they will watch part of it. So you got a longer chance to succeed. So I would say if your service is very simple, use words. But if you need to explain something, just go for a 30-second video that breaks it down in very simple concepts.
Yeah, because that was my problem, because I have a new service, and like I told you, people don't know that they need it, so I had to explain what it was. So thank you for clarifying.
Welcome.
All right, so we have a couple more questions for you. They keep coming in, which is great, guys. Keep sending those in. So Veronica's asking, I don't really use Snapchat, but it seems to be very popular among young people. Can you offer any insight about advertising on this platform?
So I know that Snapchat has a minimum budget in order to be able to enter the advertising platform. It was, I believe, $100,000. Now they lowered it, I believe, to $10,000. In our business, that focuses just on that, but that's why I don't know the numbers precisely. But as far as I know is that it's a great platform to actually target the young crowd, but being the advertising barrier high right now makes it difficult for users to actually being able to enter that market. Something that I usually suggest is try to see if there is any way that you can use Facebook advertising to actually promote your Snapchat channel. But if you're trying to target the Snapchat users, well, you might have an issue doing that just on Snapchat as of now because of this cost of entry barrier.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know, there's other ways to target people on Snapchat, like, which kind of go outside of what we're talking about today, but like the geo lenses, if you have a local business, that could be a good option to have a customized lens. And I'm sure as it grows, hopefully the barrier to entry when it comes to advertising will be a little bit lower.
Yeah.
All right, Karina is asking, this is probably a little bit of a difficult question without more info, but how much money at a minimum do I need to utilize a cross-channel advertising campaign?
So usually I suggest to go on a higher budget where you sell the most and go down along the way. So for example, if you spend $100 on search, you can do 70 remarketing, 50 Facebook, and so on for the other platforms. Of course, this is just a baseline, because sometimes what you see is that, let's say my client spending $30,000 on per week on Google, then what happens is that they are starting to spend $1,000 a month on Facebook, and now they're spending $100,000 a week on Facebook. So Facebook overtook Google. The reason why that happens is because once cross-channel advertising starts to kick in, you will see that all the display type of ads, which are Google Display, remarketing, Facebook, Twitter, they have a bigger user base because they're not intent-based, they're not keyword-based, they're based on behavior, likes, interest, so there is a bigger audience to serve. So initially I would say to start with a budget for search and the budget actually search and remarketing, and then a budget for the rest. And then you allocate the budget for the rest mostly on Facebook, because this is your first platform in terms of likelihood to sell. And then from this budget, you allocate accordingly based on performance, and you grow them separately based on performance as well.
Okay. Yeah, just kind of have a baseline, and then based on your results, you could allocate the money differently, seeing as
Correct.
what results you get. That makes sense. All right. Harsha is asking, on Google, the search volume is very low for our keywords most of the time. How does multi-channel marketing play a role here? So I'm guessing, how does low search volume for certain keywords, how does that factor into the success of a multi-channel campaign?
Sure. So you need to start thinking then about alternative routes there. So first of all, there is something within Google called Display Select. If you have conversion tracking on your website and you're actually tracking conversions, you can opt in something called Display Select, which is a campaign that mixes up search and display. So it runs on your search campaign, but it starts showing your ad on other websites online based on the data that you collect from conversions. So they will figure out who is buying from you and trying to find similar people online that are following the same behavior of navigation, like website navigation, or behavior of websites that they're visiting, the kind of topics they're interested into, to show them your ad. So it expands your audience right away based on your own success. Now, on top of that, you can actually look into your audience and figure out whether you can identify a lifestyle, an interest, a behavior that is common to them. For example, if you're selling subscription services, Facebook offers a target audience called people who are likely to subscribe to products online. So it could be a way to expand your audience through display. But I would say look into Display Select first if you have conversion data. And Display Select, to give you an idea, I've seen businesses spending $1,000 a week grow to 28,000 a week through Display Select, because it really expands your audience a lot.
Yeah, that's a good tip. I kind of forgot about that since I haven't done a lot of paid search lately. So hopefully that helps you, Harsha. Okay, I am going to not pronounce this right, and I apologize. Kinush is asking, what kind of products sell really well with Facebook ads?
I would say literally anything can sell with Facebook ads. The most important thing is to figure out who you're targeting, because if you're targeting men business tied to women, clearly you're not going to sell on Facebook. So you need to figure out, do it backward. Look into the audiences, see if you can identify audiences that match your product, and then it means you can sell on Facebook.
Okay. Yeah, because pretty much everyone's on Facebook, so it doesn't even matter if your industry is B2B. Likely the decision maker is still on Facebook. So
Yeah.
with all their targeting, you should be able to find the right audience.
Correct. For example, I had a question the other time where somebody asked me that they sell on Amazon, they purely sold on Amazon, but they wanted to start advertising offline, and they had no data, no whatsoever they could use. So actually with them, what did we do? We asked, when you sell on Amazon, you get the phone number of your users. You don't get the email, but you get the phone number. So you can actually upload the phone number into Facebook, create a custom audience, and start upselling your own customers with additional products, and then you can create a lookalike of your existing customers using their phone number. So you can actually start expanding your own audience no matter what you have, as long as you have a bit of data.
Wow, that's really interesting. So phone numbers work. What other data? Did you say email you could
Usually
upload?
Facebook wants emails or phone numbers. So Amazon gives you phone numbers, you can get them, for example.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a great tip. So we have another question from David. You've advocated going to multiple channels, which is great. How do you know when you're doing too much and are actually creating negative brand equity? So is there such a thing as too much, and when would that be?
If you have multiple channels and you're not sticking to the same branding, you're doing a damage to your business, clearly. So you know that you're doing too much when you cannot keep up with it, when you need additional people to help you with that. But overall, I think that as long as your brand is coherent, that's something that could not harm. Of course, if you invest $1 a day in Twitter, you're not going to see results, most likely, because it's just too little. But the damage comes from when you present different personas to different channels.
Okay, so as long as you're consistent, it should be okay no matter how much you're doing.
Yes, what you might want to stop is the frequency. So don't show Kelsey your ad 10 times a day. She must start hating you a little bit, but 3 times a day, 2 times a day, that's fine.
Yeah, that makes sense because that is true. That's a good point. If I see the same ad over and over everywhere I go, it has the opposite reaction and I want to avoid it. So you
Yeah.
do want to be aware of that as well. All right, so we have time for a couple more questions. Matthew has a long question, so he says, I'm running campaigns in Google AdWords in a niche market. My CPM has gone up by about 50%. It's been going up every month for about the past year, and I've been running ads for 2 years. The keywords that I'm targeting are the core of my business, and so I'm not sure how to approach the issue of the cost going up. Do you
So
have any?
he said CPM, so I'm not sure whether he meant CPA or CPC, because CPM is a display campaign mostly. So the answer would be, based on what I could understand from the question, is that most likely the main issue there is being due to the first of all, competition in the market, or maybe it's being using too much of an automated bidding system. Or another issue could be that basically the campaigns have not been modified or restructured enough. So basically what is happening is the CPA bidding is harming them a little bit there. For example, I've seen clients where they didn't modify the campaign for a while because they wanted to hold tight on it. Then they had an issue with conversion tracking. Google got used to a higher bid level, and they were happy delivering the bid at a higher cost. So clearly that was an issue. Another thing that it could be causing the issue is that is probably having a CPC or a CPA or a CPM bid which is higher than necessary, and Google is always trying to make it show up a little bit more competitive. So there could be many reasons, but based on what he said, this could be some of the explanations.
Okay, thank you. Let's see what else we have here. Um, so Ron was asking about Bing. I know you kind of briefly mentioned it in the beginning. Is there a time when you should use Bing over other platforms, or should you always use Bing in addition to Google? Can you speak more about that?
I actually always use Bing because it's a keyword-driven platform. it could have good traffic. The demographics of Google and Bing are a bit different. Usually Bing users are a bit older. But I always test it because it's closer to selling than any other thing, because people are looking for a product and they are actually initiating a search. So clearly it's easier to convert. The only defiance of Bing is that the volume is lower. So if Google generates 100 searches for a term, Bing is likely to generate 20 to 30 usually, at least on a rough estimate. But I would definitely consider Bing and Google to be tested right away.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we have one more question before we close today, and if you guys have any other questions for Rocco, feel free to reach out to him on his social networks, which he has listed here, and I'm sure he'd be happy to answer. So Joven is asking, can you show us where the Google AdWords zip of our visitors is? I'm in my AdWords account right now, and I can't see any zip code report.
So you need to click on your campaign and click on settings. When you click on settings in the main menu on the top, you're going to have a sub-menu opening. Part of this sub-menu is going to be location. You click on location, you will see the list of countries, or let's say, for example, United States, if you're targeting nationwide. Then if you click on United States, you check mark it, there is a button called details, and it will actually give you the option to select the kind of detail that you want. So you can say, for example, geographic, which tells you where the users are clicking from. It will open up another view with, again, maybe United States or some other options. You select the ones that you want to look into, and then still when you click on detailed, it's going to offer you another breakdown, which could be city, zip code, DMA area. It offers you a lot of them, like kind of 10 probably. And there is where you can see the zip code. So it's a bit hidden, but the information is there.
Awesome. Okay, great.
And of course, if you have some more questions, just send me an email or LinkedIn or something. I will send the screencast.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. A lot of good questions, guys, and Rocco, a lot of great information.
Thank you very much, and hopefully you guys found it useful and it will help you boost your business a little bit.
Yeah, and again, we'll be sending everyone the recording in the next few days, so be on the lookout for that. And so thanks everyone for coming, and see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.